Hey there, it's Stephanie Shea, Chief Astrologer for janspiller.com with your May Astrological Preview. We're looking forward to Gemini season in May, as well as an exciting lunar eclipse towards the end of the month. So I'll start at the beginning and run through the important dates coming up in May. On May the 3rd, Mercury will leave the sign of Taurus and enter the sign of Gemini. This really heightens communication skills. Mercury is the planetary ruler of Gemini. They both have so much to do with written or verbal communications. I think it's going to be a great month to make those connections during the first part of May. I'll clarify that because we will be having Mercury Retrograde in the sign of Gemini. That starts May 29th. But we really don't enter the shadow of that until closer to the middle of the month. So you can get a lot out of the direct motion of Mercury in the sign of Gemini during the first part. So we'll be enjoying Mercury in Gemini longer than usual due to this retrograde cycle. It won't exit that sign until July 11th. So I'll talk more towards the end when I get to the Mercury retrograde section, but that's how we're starting the month. Lots of connection, lots of communication. May the 8th, guess what? Venus also enters Gemini, and Venus is going to be in the sign of Gemini until June the 1st. So again, Venus is a lot about relationships. It's also the planet of money, so I'd say it's a really good timing for financial agreements. Again, the first part of the month, because we know Mercury retrograde's coming. But during those early days while Venus is in Gemini, let's say the 8th through about, I think it's around the 13th or so, that we start entering that shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. You can, during that week, it's very strong for business and financial agreements. Now, May 11th is our new moon this month. It's a 21-degree Taurus new moon. And that's right, we do enter the shadow of Mercury retrograde on the 15th. So that means this May 11th new moon is not yet in that shadow. It's still good timing to initiate something. Taurus rules money. You can see this is a huge theme for May. Making connections, making money. The two can often go hand in hand. Also, it's a lot about relationships and love. And this Taurus new moon is really good for manifesting things in your life that have staying power. We always think of the sign of Taurus as being steady, reliable, determined. If you are a Leo rising person, I encourage you to check out the janspiller.com website for the free Granddaddy Power Period dates that you can obtain. If you have read New Moon Astrology by Jan Spiller, you know everybody's got a special time each month where their wishing power is more potent. It's when the sun is passing through what's called the 11th house of your birth chart. So for Leo rising people, potentially, this depends on your degree, you got to check, but that this May 11th, 21-degree Taurus new moon could be during one of the most powerful times of manifestation for you personally. So that's totally worth checking out. Granddaddy Power Period on janspiller.com. You can check it out for free. Now, May 13th, Jupiter will enter Pisces. I'm calling this time period the sneak preview of Jupiter in Pisces because we'll be experiencing Jupiter retrograde. But between the 13th of May and the 27th of July, we get a little taste. What will it feel like to have Jupiter in Pisces? Jupiter is a pretty magical planet. Pisces also has that element of mysticism, magic. Jupiter is so expansive and optimistic. I think this time period is going to feel really good, and it's going to stir up people's compassion and desire to feel more unified. There's a real unity present when things are expressed in the sign of Pisces. So I'm personally looking forward to that. And then just knowing Jupiter will re-enter Aquarius July 28th, and it will make its official entry into the sign of Pisces for most of 2022, starting on December 28th of this year. I do have a little video that I did that tells you a lot more about Jupiter and Pisces in 2021, and you can check that out here on the channel. Now, on May 20th, the sun will enter Gemini. So again, here's some more strong Gemini energy. At this point, we're getting a lot closer to Mercury retrograde, so you may want to focus your efforts on connecting with people from your past and having communications that help to close the loop on something. That's a productive use of Mercury retrograde energy. Now, we will have a Saturn retrograde occur May 23rd, the station, and the outer planets stay in retrograde a long time, usually almost half the year. So they don't affect us as directly as the inner planets in retrograde, but it's something to take note of. I'd say when Saturn is retrograde, we may have to use a little bit more of our own elbow grease, our own initiative to get things done, because it's a more internal energy, and we may find ourselves really wanting to restructure the way we do things before we tinker with how we're restructuring things that relate to other people. So we've got that Saturn retrograde starting May 23rd, going through October 10th. Now, here's one of the headlines of the month. May 26th, Lunar Eclipse. This is our first eclipse of 2021. We had so many in 2020, but we only have 4 this year. This is the first one. It's at 5 degrees Sagittarius. I also have a video on all the eclipses of 2021, so you can get more in depth on that watching that video, but just know that this is highlighting Sagittarian themes, which have to do with freedom, spirituality. It could have to do with what you need to learn. There's Sagittarius as the ruler of higher education, and that's not always in a formal sense. It could be. People who are students may suddenly see something come to fruition in regards to their educational pursuits. And that kind of makes sense because May 26th is actually probably close to graduation time for some people. But for other people, you may feel like you're graduating in more of a metaphorical sense. But just keep in mind, lunar eclipses are super high-powered full moons. It can definitely intensify emotions. People are seeing things maybe they hadn't wanted to see. It's good. The knowledge is power, but it can take a while to adjust to the new reality if your reality had not included this hidden information. So those are some of the tips. You can be gentle with yourself and others around that eclipse. As I mentioned, Mercury retrograde officially stations May 29th, and it's going to last till June 22nd. So we're clear of the shadow of that July 8th. So in your mind, you can think, okay, at the end of May, just trying not to initiate new things, make big commitments until after July 8th. And during the next month or so, directing your efforts more towards finishing what's been started. That's going to be the most productive use of it. So I hope you can make the most of May's astrology. There's certainly a lot going on. Be safe and be well. And I look forward to seeing you again soon with horoscopes, astrological overviews, and other videos to answer your astrological questions.